Hello and welcome back to Overlay DFS. I am your host, Ira Silver, and I'm feeling good. I don't know about you. We had a fantastic week 2 in NFL, and we are back here to review some NFL week 2 matchups and see how the contest went yesterday. For those of you who don't know, Overlay DFS is starting the revolution. Are you sick and tired of losing on FanDuel and DraftKings to sharks that are putting in 150 lineups per contest? I know I am. That's why I joined to start the revolution at Overlay DFS. So, a lot of interesting things happened on Sunday. You got a lot of injuries to report. Ben Roethlisberger looks like he is done for the season. Drew Brees injured himself as well. I'm recording this Monday at 4 o'clock, right before Monday Night Football. And it seems to be that Jalen Ramsey is now requesting a trade from the Jacksonville Jaguars. It really bothers me. I mean, come on, man. Just do your job. Put your head down and play some football. I don't know why the whole league has to be drama-filled right now between Antonio Brown and Jalen Ramsey and a couple other guys. I mean, just play football, man. It's you're getting paid for a living to play a sport that we all would love to play for a living, and you're just taking it for granted. You're whining, you're complaining. Nobody wants to hear it, man. You're on the roster. The owner's paying you. Fans want to see you. Just go ahead and play football. That's all I got to say. What else we got to talk about tonight? Oh, Monday, before we get into the recap of the Week 2 NFL head-to-head matches here on Overlay DFS, tonight we got an interesting game. We got the New York Jets versus the Cleveland Browns. Who would have thought that would be a primetime game? But here we are, 2019, and it is. The new revamped Cleveland Browns, 0-1, against the New York Jets, who are without Sam Darnold tonight because he has mono. And Le'Veon Bell is a little banged up. He will be a go for tonight. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in this matchup. We do have a $22 game and a $2.50 game for tonight on on Monday Night Football. And it also goes into Thursday night. So the contest completes on Thursday night. So you got a Monday night game, Thursday night game, and a couple little baseball action in there from today. So that'll be interesting to see, who takes it down. Anyways, let's get into sharing the screen and talk about the matchups from yesterday. All right, here we are. So we saw a lot of interesting matchups yesterday, a couple due to injuries, a couple due to last-minute fumbles. We'll get into that in a second. But let's start off with Sunday Night Football game. Matt Ryan versus Carson Wentz. Differential here of, about 1.5 points. Really interesting matchup. Ryan, to me, looked awful. And if Philadelphia didn't lose... Oh, before I go into that, Wentz looked terrible too. I thought the Philadelphia Eagles should have left Josh McCown in the game once Wentz went to the tent. But, it is what it is. Wentz doesn't want to lose his job. And primetime game, you want to see Wentz play football instead of an old retired comeback player, Josh McCown. So, that's where we were. Deshaun Jackson got hurt, and so did Alshon Jeffrey. So Wentz didn't really have that many people to throw the ball to. Even Ertz got taken out of the game in the fourth quarter, I believe. He had a rib. He got hit real hard coming across the middle. So he had to leave the game as well. A lot of injuries on both sides of the ball. But that was a great, fun matchup. The second matchup on the board here, Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, it wasn't even close. Deshaun Watson did not play well against the Jaguars defense, which is what I said on my video on Friday. I was expecting the Jaguars D to keep them in the game. And Minshew for all the money. Whoever rode that bandwagon with me and took the Jaguars with the points there did pretty well. Lamar Jackson, another amazing game from him, looking like he is a stud this season. Third matchup on the board from Sunday, Drew Brees got hurt. So it's really an unfair matchup here, but he wasn't playing particularly well up until a point he got hurt. Rodgers obviously taking this down with a W. Tom Brady against Phillip Rivers. Rivers looked terrible. I don't know what they're doing on the road there, but they should not have laid an egg. They should have won that game handily. Tom Brady has a nice day, basically about 25 fantasy points. Dak Prescott looking like the new, I don't know what he is, the new coming of Tom Brady. The guy with this new offensive coordinator just looks fantastic in there. Jared Goff, wasn't really much of a game for the Rams. They kind of ran away with it there in the second half, but Goff didn't look that great in my opinion. I think there's a lot of work the Rams need to do for next week. But yeah, that's my assessment of Jared Goff, and most people will not agree with me on that. Russell Wilson versus Ben Roethlisberger. Again, Roethlisberger got hurt. He is done for the season, and Russell Wilson looked pretty good again on the road, traveling west to east, playing in Pittsburgh. And that's tough. I can't believe Wilson looked that good, and Roethlisberger. By the way, he got hurt, but he didn't. He looked so bad on Sunday. This whole Pittsburgh team, I'm real low on them now. I mean, if you guys follow along, it was one of my super contest picks, and just from kickoff, I knew it was a bad pick. I saw it. Garoppolo, Dalton, that wasn't really. I mean, it was 4 points, but Garoppolo really took a hold of that matchup pretty early on. Josh Allen versus Marcus Mariota. I love Josh Allen just because of his running ability. He is on my season-long fantasy team, so I'm a little bit biased here. But I do like Marcus Mariota a lot as an NFL quarterback. I just think he's a good game manager. But Josh Allen, if he could ever get accurate with his throwing, he could be a pretty good player here in the NFL. Matt Stafford versus Kirk Cousins. Matt Stafford, I mean, he played against a tough D, so I will give him that. The Chargers, have a little bit of a tough D. Kirk Cousins, what can I say about Kirk Cousins? I don't know how he is still a starting quarterback in this league. I mean, looked terrible. Looked absolutely terrible. Can't hold on to the football, turnover prone, but Stafford takes down that matchup pretty easily. Joe Flacco versus Mitchell Trubisky. For those who follow along with me on the Super Contest picks here, you'll know that I'm pretty heartbroken about this pick here. I picked the Bears to cover 2.5 in Mile High. They're up 10 points in the fourth quarter, and they end up winning the game, but they should have lost the game. I don't really know why there was a second left on the clock there in Mile High. Flacco didn't look particularly impressive either. I just think the boys on defense in Chicago were gassed because Chicago couldn't play offense, and Mitchell Trubisky just looks like PU. That's all I got to say about Mitchell Trubisky. Kyler Murray versus Eli Manning. This was a close one. Don't be fooled by the 4-point differential here. Murray looked good. Eli Manning threw a pick late, I want to say. But I like Murray. I really like him going forward here. He played a tough game against a pretty tough opponent and came out here with the win on Overlay, and also had a chance to beat Baltimore, but they came up short there. Saquon Barkley versus Ezekiel Elliott. That was a really interesting matchup. You had Saquon Barkley 21 points, Ezekiel Elliott 19. Barkley looked like he was going to run away with it early, long touchdown to start the game, and then kind of had a yeoman's day from there. Zeke also looks like he's not 100% in shape yet, and Dallas's game plan is more throwing the ball right now, but still a great matchup. He had a chance to close the gap. He did, and he almost had a chance to win it there. Connor versus Austin Eckler. Eckler looks like the man in Los Angeles. I almost said San Diego. He looks like the man in Los Angeles for the Chargers. And James Conner just not really on a great offensive football team right now, especially with Roethlisberger didn't look great, but especially with Roethlisberger looking terrible. I mean, Mason, I think that's his first name, Mason Rudolph. I almost called him Kyle Rudolph. Don't be confused. That's the tight end on Minnesota. Mason Rudolph. I don't know what to expect from him. He looked okay at times, and he looked inexperienced at times, and that's fine because that is who he is. So we'll see going forward. I'm not gonna make a decision about him just yet. I want to wait and see. But Connor, I believe he got a little banged up in this game too. Eckler with the easy victory there. Mark Ingram versus Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry ran away with it pretty easily. Mark Ingram, pretty day. Mixon versus Marlon Mack. That game was actually, I believe, taken off the board because Mixon, there were reports that he wasn't going to play. And even if he did play, I don't think that would have been a fair matchup. So I believe that game went off the board before NFL. So I don't even think anybody had him. Or if they did, it was off the board. Fournette versus David Johnson. Another ugly slugging performance here from both players. Fournette with the victory there. Jacksonville, I don't understand what Jacksonville's doing there, by the way, just as a quick segue. You all know that I had Jacksonville on the point spread yesterday in the Super Contest and in the Circa Millions contest. However, Gardner Minshew really didn't play well until the end, and he was on fire there on the last drive, and when they went for 2, they decided to run the ball with Fournette. I'm not really sure why. I think they should have just left the ball in the hot hand of Minshew and let him roll out to the right or to the left, throw the ball or run it in for a touchdown. I mean, we saw him really be competitive there, and I think that was the wrong decision to run the ball with Fournette yesterday up against the Houston front, which is pretty stacked. So I didn't love that decision there to run it to go for 2. Next matchup here on the board, Todd Gurley, Chris Carson. Gurley had a touchdown, so that's really what was the difference there. Carson with a fumble. He's on my season-long fantasy league, he is not really looking that great, and I hope he doesn't lose his job to Rashard Penny, because if he does, I don't have a lot of depth on that team. James White, Sony Michel, another close matchup. Sony Michel took the lead early. James White came roaring back, but ultimately fell short of Sony Michel. Kerryon Johnson lost this matchup to Aaron Jones, but Kerryon Johnson looking like a stud here. If you watch some YouTube and some Twitter clips, I missed most of the game, the Los Angeles Chargers Detroit game. But I did see some clips of him juking some players and making some fantastic moves. Aaron Jones, obviously, with the touchdown there to help him seal the victory. Devontae Freeman versus Damian Williams, another close one here, decided by less than a point. Damian Williams, real quiet, even though they went up against the Raiders. Devontae Freeman, real quiet tonight. It looks like Ito Smith is the better running back in Atlanta. But, time will tell. We'll see what happens there. Miles Sanders versus Jordan Howard, another stink fest, another slug fest between 2 backs in Philadelphia. I mean, how many times are the Philadelphia Eagles going to run the ball on first down for 2 yards before they figure out they need to pass on first down a couple of times? So I'm not real happy with Philadelphia. If you all follow me, you know that I had the Eagles in the Circa Millions contest, and I was not too thrilled about it. They did have a chance to win the game. And they couldn't fade the 4th down. I couldn't fade the 4th down there with Atlanta. I lost a lot of 4th downs in my picks, my millions and my super contest picks. I had to fade the Broncos twice on 4th down. They got it. They converted twice against the Bears, and ultimately I lost that by the hook. And also Philadelphia -1 in the millions. Even without, listen, I can't predict injuries. I can't predict my top 2 wide receivers are going to be out of the game in the first quarter. But Philadelphia had a chance to win that game there, and they just kind of blew it. Michael Thomas, Devontae Adams, a matchup decided by 0.2 points. What an interesting one that was. I think Michael Thomas would have taken this down had Drew Brees played in the game after he got hurt. If he didn't get hurt, I'm sorry. But ultimately, Drew Brees got hurt. Devontae Adams wins the matchup there by 0.2. So that's a heartbreaker for a lot of Michael Thomas owners yesterday in Overlay. Amari Cooper versus Keenan Allen, another tight one. Allen, obviously, getting it done here with more catches. There is a half-point PPR league. So Allen takes it down there. Sammy Watkins versus T.Y. Hilton. T.Y. Hilton, I believe, had a touchdown to take back the lead there and win the matchup here. Robert Woods versus Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks easily winning this matchup. Brandon Cooks did have a touchdown in that game, a 1-yard touchdown, I believe. It was a really nice catch, actually. I did not think he was going to make that catch, and he did. Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs. What a great matchup that was. Diggs losing the battle by 0.6 points. And the only reason he lost this matchup It was because he fumbled on a lateral at the end of the game, which obviously they counted Stephon Diggs as a fumble. And he goes ahead and loses his matchup, and Thielen wins and beats him in the last play of the game. How exciting that was. Allen Robinson versus Julian Edelman, another slugfest there. Edelman ultimately takes it down by 1.1 points. Galladay versus Tyler Lockett. In my opinion, this wasn't even close all day. Galladay pulling down tons of balls and a touchdown. Kelsey versus Antonio Brown. It started the day pretty great for Antonio Brown, pulling in that touchdown from Tom Brady. What a great catch he made there, and jumping into the Miami Dolphins stands. That was interesting. But Kelsey comes back in the afternoon. Patrick Mahomes having an unbelievable day in Oakland, and ultimately Kelsey catching a touchdown to take the lead there and ultimately winning the matchup. Julio Jones versus DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins did not really have a great game. Julio Jones, obviously, we all saw it on Sunday night, primetime football. Take it to the house on 4th down for the touchdown. But Julio, it was never in doubt there if you had Julio. Zach Ertz versus George Kittle. Zach Ertz played basically the only receiver on the Eagles. Him and Aguilar were left, and Holiday, who doesn't really play much. But Ertz ultimately coming away with this battle and this victory here in Overlay. And Ingram versus Hunter Henry, that was taken off the board, so that doesn't even count just because Hunter Henry got hurt. Going down here, the winning lineup in the $22 progressive, they didn't go 12-0, so they didn't win the progressive jackpot, but they did go ahead and cash for $180, which was a nice. That's a nice come up for a $22 buy-in. You win 9 times your buy-in of the $20. It's pretty sweet, and you just got to stay consistent. Hit that 9 times your buy-in. Finish in the top 10%. Just keep hitting that consistently, and then one day the stars are just gonna align, and you're gonna go ahead and win the grand prize. In the $22 one, I believe it's up to $6,000 now in the $22 progressive jackpot. The winning lineup here, as you can see, they went 9 and 3. The winning lineup went 9 and 3. So the money took it down at 9 and 3 in the $22 one. Yeah. In the $100 one and in the $2.50 game one, 8 and 4 was paid as well. So a lot of fun, a lot of sweating, a lot of back and forth here. But this was the winning lineup here. Dak Prescott. I'll move this. Dak Prescott over Jared Goff. Wilson over Roethlisberger. Garoppolo over Dalton. Barkley over Elliott. Kyler Murray over Eli Manning, Flacco over Trubisky, Jones over Kerryon Johnson, Damian Williams, Devontae Freeman, Miles Sanders over Jordan Howard, Thielen over Diggs, Robert Woods over Brandon Cooks, which did not win, obviously, T.Y. Hilton over Sammy Watkins, and here we'll move my screen here again, Michael Thomas over Devontae Adams, and Keenan Allen over Amari Cooper, and Allen Robinson over Julian Edelman. Went 9 and 3 to take down the first place prize. I believe 5 players got paid in this one, and all you have to do is finish 9 and 3 to get 9 times your buy-in. Again, keep hitting the 9 times your buy-in. You're going to go ahead and go 12 and 0 at some point, hopefully, and hit the grand prize. Again, the money keeps rolling over every week until the grand prize, the bonus, is hit. The progressive bonus is hit. And, a lot of people came close. If it wasn't for a couple injuries and a couple weird plays at the end of the game, we could have seen some bonuses being hit in week 2 of the NFL on Overlay. So just keep at it, keep plugging away, and we'll see you next time. I'll be out here with a video on, I believe, tomorrow or Wednesday to go ahead and either review, to Tuesday or Wednesday to go ahead and review the matchups for NFL Week 3. And then we'll be back here on Friday to go over the Super Contest and the Circa Millions picks. If you're not following along, or if you are following along, our record now we went 2-2 in Super Contest on Sunday with a game pending tonight. We have the Browns -2.5. And in the Circa Millions, we went 2-3 in a couple heartbreaking losses. So let's rebound tonight. Let's go Browns if you have the Super Contest. But if I had to go one way or the other in tonight's game, I'd go ahead, and the line's up to 6.5. I'd go ahead and take the Jets plus 6.5. It's a little dicey here with Trevor Siemian, pretty bad quarterback. I'm not sure how much of a downgrade he is to Sam Darnold, because Darnold is still developing as a quarterback. But I'm going to go ahead here and say Jets plus 6.5. But I do have the Browns -2.5 in the Super Contest, so hopefully it falls somewhere 3, 4, 5, or 6. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much for joining us here. Please like and subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it. It would mean the world to me. And please follow us on all social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, @OverlayDFS. Thanks so much for joining us today, and I'll see you next time.